Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to episode 101 of my daily courier vlogs. Been away since February. I hope everybody is well and doing okay. So yeah, I'm back. I did say I'd come back today. I haven't been away or missing or doing nothing, but I had a very, for those that missed the last episode, I had a very patchy March. I had a couple of weekends that were booked, long weekends away. Week holiday was booked in now. I had numerous, not numerous, but I had some medical appointments, dental appointment, and it's going to be lots of half days and lots of days off and 4-day weeks and things like that. So I had a wedding anniversary in the middle of that as well, and then obviously once we got into April, we just had the week leading up to Easter, which traditionally can be fairly quiet anyway with the kids on holiday. So I decided to have a little break from the videos because it was going to be very, very patchy, and that's not going to give you a very good idea of how the CX and courier work is treating me. So how did I do? Overall, it was okay. The first week of March, which was a 4.5 day week for me, was one of the best weeks I've ever actually had. It started off because on the Friday before I picked a job up on late in the afternoon for delivery to Clacton, 8 o'clock on Monday morning. So that job was going to go into the week's figures, and I got that job off and I was away from site by 7:45. Managed to bag myself another job from Manningtree, 20 minutes down the road. I think it went into Cambridgeshire somewhere, St Neots, something like that, which I got a good price for, and then managed to pick a little job up from St Neots back to Ipswich, and then got a job on in the afternoon for delivery the next morning, and that sort of week all rolled together nicely. So I managed to finish on a 4.5 day week. I actually topped £1,000, which for me is fairly unusual, to be honest. I know a lot of you that would be a minimum target figure. Other than that, it's been a little hit and miss. Some good days, few good days, couple of bad days, and quite a lot of bang average days. I did have a little 2 days where at the end of it I really started to query my sanity about working the CX. It had been started on a Monday afternoon. I had a hospital appointment, so my phone was off. You can crap Wi-Fi signal anyway, so you didn't have a chance to look for jobs. Time I got out and I made my way on the way home, it was nearly 6 o'clock, and consequently all the jobs for the next morning had gone. Not to worry, dropped the wife off at the station on Tuesday morning, parked up in Colchester. Normally there's jobs coming out and I can get myself up and away. This particular day, absolutely nothing. Very, very little come out of Colchester or surrounding Ipswich, Witham, etc., which is really, really, really unusual. And I've spoken about the algorithms before. We all know when we Google something on, Google something, next time you go on Facebook, you're plagued by adverts for whatever it is you Googled. And that's a positive of the algorithms. I always think sometimes, and I've mentioned this before because another driver mentioned it on a Facebook post, that maybe there's some negative algorithms, and sometimes this CX app decides not to show you any work that's in the area you're in. And it really felt like that. And it got to 12 o'clock, but unbelievably, that was 5.5 hours sat there, and I'd been on a couple of jobs, but even then, as the day drags on, your prices are starting to have to drop, and I was having to drop because I wasn't getting anything. But it got to 12 o'clock and I thought, no, I'm going to call this a day. And I went home, and I was about 20 minutes back home to Brightlingsea, and of course on the way jobs start appearing in Colchester, and then you've just lost the will to live and can't be bothered. There was one job that came up, which was for the next day, the Wednesday, which interested me. It's not one of my usual jobs. It was from Ipswich, 9 o'clock collection, long wheelbase, although it was 2 pallets, going to Pontefract in Yorkshire. Now, if you followed me, you know I don't particularly like doing the long ones, or not on a regular basis anyway. It was 193 miles. It's the shipper I'd probably do the most work for. So I stuck a price of 220. Now, again, we can have a debate. 220 is probably less than you would like for a job of 193 miles for a long wheelbase. But when I have bid for these type of long jobs, Manchesters and Leeds, and if I bid the 140s, 150 a mile, even 130 a mile, I'm not getting them. I never get them. So I went with 220. I've got to be honest, I don't even know what that works out as a pence per mile, but it's probably somewhere around about £1.10. Thought it would be a straightforward job, and it was. Well, nearly, yeah, sort of a straightforward job. I got there 8 o'clock for a 9 o'clock collection. The gates were shut. It's clearly said collections and deliveries from 8:30. Not a problem. So I thought I'd wait, and a few minutes later a guy came out and over to me to ask me what I was waiting for. Said, I apologised. I said I'm early, but I've got a collection at 9 o'clock to go to Pontefract. And he just said, well, come back at 9 then. So you start to think, okay, it's going to be one of these days. So there's a Macro just down the road on this industrial estate. It's on that Orwell Bridge side of Ipswich, if you know it. Went and parked up in Macro, made my way back at 5 to 9, and was loaded straight away and off site at 10 past 9. Really good run. You're literally 2 or 3 minutes to get back on the A14. I don't think I touched the brakes on my van till I came off the A1 at Pontefract. Literally the A14, A1, straight drive, nothing, not a thing. Got to Pontefract, I got there, I'm trying to remember now, I think it would have been about just before 12:30, 1:15, something like that. Got the pallets delivered, parked up, started looking for work. There was a job from Pontefract, literally on the same industrial estate I was on, going to Sunderland, but I didn't really think there was any point, although it was 2 minutes away, bidding for a job that's going to take me 60 miles more further north for probably 60 quid. So I let that one go, and there wasn't a lot about, and then this great job appeared from Huddersfield, 2:30 collection. It was now about 1:15. I was 40 minutes from Huddersfield, so it's perfect. 2:30 collection. Delivery to Colchester for 8 o'clock that night. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Long wheelbase. Was a shipper I hadn't worked with before. It's a northern based shipper. But if you know me, I will blow my own trumpet. I do have, whatever I have now, 400 odd positive feedbacks and no negative. So I think that's got to be good if you're checking me out for the first time. Price wise, what do you do? Now I want to get this job. This job's perfect. It's a long wheelbase. It's a what was it? 213 miles. I bid £200. Now that's cheap, but it's not a full backload price, is it? £200. But I thought I'll go for it. 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, job sold, disappeared. Not to me. Very disappointed. Half an hour later, the job appears again. Same shipper, same job. Clearly stating times must be adhered to regarding collection and delivery. Now I'm thinking, who wants to deliver in Colchester at 8 o'clock at night apart from me? There can't be many people, surely. So I went back on it again and I bid 180. Job sold, not to me. So it's now 2 o'clock. I decided I'm going to make my way back and see what I can pick up going down the A1. More likely it'll probably be somewhere around about Peterborough before I probably get anything. And there was nothing coming up at all. So I finished up, cut a long story short, I drove at home empty all the way. And coming back, I'm really pondering. I've had one day of absolutely nothing, another day where I've done best part of 450 mile round trip to earn £220. Yeah, I was trying to question my sanity, and I was kicking myself. Should I have gone lower on that Huddersfield to Colchester? I probably, really, in hindsight, if I bid £100 would have been better than nothing. But yeah, there we go. There's the brakes. And anyway, I sailed home with the traffic again very light, and I was actually back home indoors. Well, I picked the wife up, but I would have been back indoors if I'd gone direct for about 6 o'clock, 6:15. So there we go. But that was just one little adventure over 2 days where I questioned the CX, but on the whole it's been okay. I didn't work yesterday, Tuesday, first day after the weekend, because the van was in for its service, 146,500 miles. Also MOT is due at the end of April, so I got that done as well. The van's been running absolutely fine, and clean bill of health yesterday, nothing needed apart from the service, so that is all good. Because I didn't get a phone call back the van till 4:30, I decided I won't find a job or look for a job until I know the van is okay. So consequently I didn't win a job yesterday afternoon. Nothing much came up from 5 o'clock onwards. Today the wife was working from home, which was nice, which meant I didn't have to get up super early. So I decided I'm going to have a bit of a lay-in, and I'll toodle out of bed as and when, or toodle out to work as and when I get up. So I didn't actually wake up till about 6:30, 7:15. I think I left home at about 7:45. There had been one job, which was a 8:30 collection the other side of Colchester, going to Rye. I didn't bid on it. It was a small van job. It's 113 miles, I think it is. Probably wouldn't have got more than about £100 for it. And Rye's a rubbish area. Hastings, Rye. I don't get any joy out of those areas, so I let that one go. Just making my way out of Brightlingsea towards Colchester, a job came up, and it's the only job I've done today. It was a collection before 9:30 from RAF Wattisham in Suffolk, about 40 minutes from where I was. Long wheelbase, but it said it was 2 pallets and half a dozen packages, going to Carterton, Oxfordshire, otherwise known as RAF Brize Norton. That was 157 miles, and the other thing it did say was that it needed a British national, and you must have proof of that passport, driving licence. So I got that. I always carry both those documents with me anyway. So I put a price of £200 on it, equates to about £1.30 a mile. Could have gone maybe a little bit higher, bearing in mind the requirements on the job, but I didn't want to, not get that job. I thought that'd be quite a nice job. Got the job. Phone call 5 minutes later. Made my way out there. We had a few problems with the collection. Didn't have enough detail of what I was collecting, and because with RAF bases, you've got all the rigmarole of booking in and having your photograph taken. And cut a long story short, again, I was on site for about an hour and 15 minutes before I was loaded and away. To be fair, the shipper was fine. It tried to help as much as they possibly could. They just didn't have the information from their customer. And they get under their terms and conditions, which were on the job notes, they paid me an extra £15 for half an hour waiting, which is well, that's fair enough. I'm not going to complain too much. 3.5 hours to get to Brize Norton, and then the same rigmarole there, obviously booking in, getting escorted to where I needed to go, but it was all fairly straightforward, and I was done and dusted on site in about 40 minutes. Not going to complain about that. That's fine. Yeah, and that's it. There's a lovely petrol station just outside Brize Norton, BP, with a Budgeons, plenty of place to park, and needed to get some lunch and toilet and bits and pieces like that. So I stopped there, had some lunch. I've been looking for jobs, but I didn't expect anything, and there absolutely was nothing. So I'm just making my way back now, coming into the outskirts of Oxford. It's 3:30, just after. I'll look along the way to see if there's anything comes up High Wycombe, and then as I go around the M25, St Albans, Watford, St Albans, Enfield, maybe something I can pick up for delivery tomorrow morning that fits in with the schedule. So yeah, this job today has paid me £200 plus the 15 waiting, 215. In the scheme of things, week after Easter, and a one job day and fairly straightforward, I'm not going to complain. It's over my target for the day, and as I say, it's only going to be a 3-day week this week. So I don't know about yourselves, but I don't tend to get too het up about targets when I've got a 3-day week, because it is a 3-day week. So that's about it. There's obviously one or two things that have been happening whilst I've been off vlog, if you like, and I'll talk about them tomorrow. But as always, I don't want this to rabbit on too much more than 15 minutes, and I'm nearly going to hit that. But anyway, I hope everybody is well. I hope you're keeping busy, and we'll talk again tomorrow. All the best now. Cheers, Paul.